tonight we're going to talk about two extremely...
I personally believe, even before we moved here, that revival is coming to New England. And I think God is going to use church planting to make that happen. My church planting journey started in 2010. I was in Bible college in California, and a teacher challenged me to consider church planting.
At the time, George was a youth pastor, but I started to feel a calling to possibly start a church. At the time, we didn't even know that church planting was a term. And so I just started to pray because I really felt there was this thing put before me that I was supposed to pray for. Well, the next day he had a lunch with a teacher of his at the Bible college at the time, and he specifically asked him, "Hey, have you ever thought about church planting?" For me, it was like confirmation right away, and I really had only been praying for about a day.
We have always had a desire and an affection for the state of Connecticut. So when the question became, where would we plant a church? We said, what about Connecticut? Not knowing the spiritual condition of New England. In 2011, I booked a flight and flew over to Hartford, rented a car, and just started driving around praying.
I was back in California with our family and just actively praying over a Google map, and there was this town, Glastonbury, and I was like, you need to check out this town. Something keeps drawing my attention back to this town. And so he got lost and ended up off the freeway, and it said, "Welcome to Glastonbury."
I was driving down Main Street, and I believe the Lord had me pull over, and as I did that, I sat down, looked across the street, and I saw the town center fountain, and it was at that moment that the Lord brought to mind John 7:37 and 38, where Jesus says, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink." And it was at that moment I was convinced that God wanted us to plant a church in the town of Glastonbury. We were what's sometimes referred to as a parachute drop. And as soon as we hit the ground, we quickly realized that everything we thought we knew about church planting was not what was really needed. And so we reached out for help. And I was soon contacted by David Jackson, who invited me to come to an annual meeting. And it was at that time that I believed that this was the network, the denomination, the people that I wanted to partner with. We started with really just 11 people, and that's including children. But from that point, God was faithful, and he began to bring people as we prayed for God to bring laborers to the harvest, and as people in the town found out about our church. We take seriously the principle of just being present in our community. We want to be involved with our neighbors. So Glastonbury is filled with runners. And so what we did is we just planted ourselves right inside that running group, and we started running with people. We have now been involved with that running group for 6 semesters. Each semester we get to not only meet new people who come in the process, we've been able to have God conversations. The unique thing about Glastonbury is it's a very wealthy town. It's a very educated town. Glastonbury can be a place where Christianity isn't attacked, but it's not really cared for.
The most effective way we've been able to reach people and connect with them is through relationships. And being in the town that we've been called to and being focused on the community that specifically that God has called us to has allowed us to build those relationships.
We've seen that God is faithful and that God is able. God called our little family from across the country and asked us to plant a church here. God was faithful to provide everything that we needed, and he was faithful to bring the people that we needed and the resources that we needed to start the River Church. And we've seen him begin to bring people that needed Jesus